Hey everyone, it's Sean here, your guide to Warcraft, and in patch 7.3.5, Blizzard added some new story for a non-combat pet called Uuna, and Uuna originally drops from this rare here called the Many-Faced Devourer on Argus. Now, if you're not familiar with the rare, you do have to summon him, and you do have to get a few bits and bobs together to do so, so I do have a video describing how to summon him in the description down below. Otherwise, the drop rate for this pet has been significantly increased since the patch, so, you know, like you can see here, there's Uuna's doll, summons the pet. Like I said, it's a non-combat pet. And even bigger thing to note is that this has no reward. This is purely this is purely like a cosmetic storyline. You know, this is purely for like the experience. This is not like a reward-based secret. Now, once you've obtained Uuna, you just want to summon her and wait for her to deliver a voice line. Now, it's not voice acted, it is purely just all text-based. But once she's done that, it means that sort of this has begun. So once she's delivered a voice line to you, you want to type /whistle. Now, she's like a lost soul. It's dark. She can't see. She says it's cold. So by whistling, it's just to sort of get her attention and to know that someone's out there. After that, she's sort of running around asking who's there. And then you sort of, well, you want to /roar next. This will cause her to think that you're like a monster and she will run away. She actually ran too far away from me and actually caused her to despawn, so I had to resummon her. After that step, she'll come back and you need to type /cry. She will sort of empathize with you and say that it's like a very dark place and that you're her friend. So the next step from here onwards is to sort of help her see again. So again, I don't know how these people sort of figure this stuff out, but I guess if you go everywhere in the game, eventually something will pop up. But it is rather specific. So the next step, you need to take Uuna to Shatrath City in front of a doll, and she sort of goes up to the Naru. It's like, ooh, the bright light, and then it's too bright, hurts her eyes, and she runs away again, and that's pretty much it. It will despawn her, and now you have to find something else instead. Turns out this actually takes you to Ashenvale, so I've added the coordinates on the screen as well as a good zoom in on the map so you know exactly where you need to go. So I don't know what the relevance of this is. You take her to this like moonbeam. I'm guessing it's something to do with Elune. Now I believe there's a lot of speculation going around about Elune and how maybe she created the Naru, stuff like that. So the Naru light was too bright, so she went into this moonbeam. And at this point she can see, so she can now see you, asks to be your friend, and then mentions someone called Nu, and Nu would know what to do. So this will then take you to Argus, specifically to Makari, and you want to head to here on the map just outside the instance portal. Now you're going to need a goblin glider as an engineer or 2 goblin glider kits. I'm just going to show you where exactly I am. You see there's the instance portal there, and there's this little floating rock. You want a glider to here, or if you're a demon hunter you can just use your wings. And you see that rock over there in the distance? That's where we need to go. So you want to jump off and use your 2nd goblin glider kit. So you want to jump off and use your 2nd goblin glider kit to get from that rock all the way over here. There's a little house here, and Nu is her little teddy bear, which actually is just inside the house. It looks like you're not going to make it, but there's like a little lip at the bottom here that you can just get on, so you can just make it if you do the jump right. Not that I ever did it wrong or anything, but once you're inside, you'll find a teddy bear, and this will trigger the next part of the storyline. Now, Uuna's story is actually quite dark. If you remember the Many-Faced Devourer, it's called an Urzul, and these like absorb the souls of the Draenei, so they got like all the Draenei faces on. It reminds me of the Absorbaloth from Doctor Who, if anyone's seen that, where it kind of like absorbs them and wears their faces, and you know, especially as this is a little girl, it's like quite a dark storyline, which I guess does give this more meaning to people that do want to experience this. Now, once she's got on her teddy bear, it will resummon it, and you can see that she's now holding the teddy bear in her hand, so we'll update that model of the pet for you. Next up, you want to go to Bloodmist Isle. Now, this is sort of just the island just north of the Exodar, so not an island you'll be too familiar with and a bit harder to get to if you're Horde, so you're going to have to spend a bit more time getting here. And on this table, there will be a very little wand, and you want to summon her near the table. It did take me a few goes. I had to actually literally walk onto the table before she sort of reacted. It kind of can happen a lot with this. And then she will pick up a wand and say that she used to have a wand like this and it's good at shooting bad guys with, and you will actually see that come into play a bit later on in the quest line as you go forward. So then it will resummon her again. Now she'll be holding a teddy and a wand. Next up, you want to head to Draenor. You want to head to Shadow Moon Valley. So again, this is in the Warlords of Draenor version. You want to head to this little chair here, and on this little chair will be a little flower crown. So you have to get quite close again for her to interact with it. She'll pick it up and then put on the flower crown. So you've now gotten like the free cosmetic items that the pet will now have. So this will permanently update the pet's model. There is a non-combat pet, so I don't really think I'd ever really use it aside from this storyline. But you can see flower crown, star wand, and new the teddy bear. So after you've done this, it's going to sound a bit weird, you just want to walk around a bit, and eventually this sort of void will appear underneath Uuna, and she'll be taken by void tendrils, and she'll say it's all gone dark again, begging you to help her, and she'll just be sucked away. And fun fact, if you try to then summon Uuna, it will say Uuna is missing, so you cannot actually summon the pet after this. So the next step in order to get Uuna back is to actually, well, follow as I do in the video. You just want to sort of drop, and quick way to kill yourself. Probably should have removed my armor to begin with to avoid the repair bill. And then what you want to do next is talk to a spirit healer. It doesn't have to be the specific one I'm doing in the video. It just has to be a spirit healer, and she will have a second dialogue option to try and help you find your friend. Once you get this, you will then be eligible for the next scenario portion of the storyline. Now, where else would you go in Legion for a hidden scenario? Of course, you want to go to Dragonblight, so you want to head to the Emerald Dragon Shrine. If you go to where I am on the map, you will see this skull of a dragon, and there will be a little purple shadow tear. You want to click and interact with the shadow tear, and you'll be loaded into here. This is just called a dark place. This is actually pretty creepy. I did it with like the volume on, and I'm just like, oh, it turns out I can't really see much. Pretty, I don't know, pretty spooky place. I don't actually know where it is or anything like that. It's just a very small little map, and you'll find Uuna here. So when you find Uuna, you want to do /cheer. This will just be like, yay, I found you. But she still can't see you. So what you want to do is go into your professions, and this is where you just want to hope that you have cooking, because you just want to then place a small campfire next to her. This will sort of act as your light in a darkened world. It will, you know, it'll warm her up, and she'll be able to see you again. And this is where the trouble begins. She sort of says, oh no, they're coming for me. And this is where things get a little bit creepier. So she's going to be attacked by what's called Soul Eaters. This is not something you're going to be in combat with. Now, they're really hard to spot, but you'll see in the distance some glowing yellow eyes, and this can come from any direction. So I've got to fast forwarded a bit because it was a real struggle to, you know, do the whole thing with the video, but it does get a bit intense. You can see that you can't, like, I apologize, my screen is just black, but you can just see, like, maybe a little, you know, a few little yellow eyes, and you want to just run directly on top of them. This will cause them to flee. If they touch her, the scenario will end and you'll fail and you'll have to restart, so you have to protect her from being touched by any of these. Uuna will be using her wand to fight some off on her own, so if you think, oh, I'm about to fail, she might zap it at the last second, you never know. And then she's going to do a dialogue option, which is like she wraps her arms around herself. At this point, you want to do a /hug emote. Once you do that, this will happen, and she will sort of beam with light and find some inner strength. It may be a bit cheesy for me, but she sort of becomes one with the light and then zaps all of the Soul Eaters around. This animation was pretty cool. It just burns them all, and she sort of believes in herself again. So what happens now is a beam of light will appear from above, and I believe it's her mum and dad sort of telling her to come back with them. It will beam down like you can see here, and she'll believe that the light's telling her to follow it. And she sort of says no and decides that there's a lot that she hasn't seen yet, and she wants to stay with you a little bit longer. And this is where the world tour section of this storyline begins. Now, like I said, this doesn't offer any sort of rewards, so you don't really get anything extra for doing the extra steps. If you want to do the scenario just for the hell of it, just as something to do, it is a bit different. You can tell that they put a little bit of effort behind it. But then when it gets to the world tour, it's just like, you know, there's not really anything to it. It's just a little bit extra if you want to do it, but I've included it in the video anyway. So to start with, you want to head to the Gate of Setting Sun. You don't have to go inside the dungeon, just fly into the courtyard here. You want to summon Uuna, and I had to run around a bit before it triggered her dialogue. Now this reminds me a lot of Children's Week. You take a kid, You go to popular events or places, you know, in Azeroth, and it's like, oh, you know, here's a couple of bits of dialogue. You do a quest chain, you take them back, and you get a pet as a reward or something like that. Only with this, you don't actually get anything. So I was quite surprised to see it as a, you know, part of the Uuna storyline compared to sort of maybe a children's week in Legion. I was, you know, like, if it was me, just, you know, if it was me, I would probably have said, okay, well, you've done the scenario, now what you've done is you've unlocked a special sort of portion for Children's Week. So when the Children's Week holiday comes along, you can now take Uuna to these places and do a separate quest chain for people that have done the Uuna scenario, and then you get maybe a special little extra pet at the end or something like that. I don't know, I just thought I would have added a bit more flair to it. Also, Children's Week hasn't received any sort of update in a long time, so I think this would have actually been a very cool version of like a Legion segment of Children's Week that they could have made. I think it would have been quite cool. I might not even have to offer a reward. I just think it would have maybe integrated better into Children's Week than maybe right now. So again, that's kind of just my opinion. You know, if you have your own, do leave it in the comment section down below. I am curious to see what people think about this sort of thing, because obviously I know there's a lot of sort of back and forth opinion of, oh, what's the point of this? Oh, there's not really a reward. Like, I do believe it was an interesting thing, but I will say, if I wasn't a content creator on YouTube, I probably wouldn't have done this. I don't think it's really for me. I would have been curious, but I think, especially the World Tour bit, I probably would have done the scenario and left it off here. Like, I don't really think the World Tour has any meaning, or I don't know, I just don't really see the point of it. But again, like I said, just my opinion. I'm not trying to bash this or anything like that. I guess it kind of comes back to the sort of micro holiday discussion of, it's kind of like a very small thing to do and you don't really get anything out of it. But I do know this is just purely cosmetic. It's just for a bit of story. That's just kind of like my opinion. I am curious, because everyone does have their own opinion on this. There's some people that would never touch this and think, what's the point? Some people love this stuff, and you know, it's great that they do design stuff for everyone, you know. People want to do a secret to find a mount or a pet, it's there. People want to do a secret to find, you know, just to get some story or an experience, it's there for them. So I do like the broad range of stuff that Blizzard does add to the table. But again, like I said, this World Tour, like, I'm taking her to the top of Mount Everest now, and it's like, you do get a couple of dialogue options, but again, it's something that is very familiar to Children's Week for me. Just imagine how cool it would be if when Children's Week rolls along, if you summoned Uuna, she'd have a quest, and it would be like, hey, remember me? You know, you saved me like a few months ago, we did this whole thing together, and I'm back, and now the World Tour begins, and at the end of the World Tour, you maybe get something cosmetic, even if it's... Maybe you could get like the, you know, like a transmog of the wand she had, or, you know, a flower crown. I know some people might like that for transmog. You know, just something very little or something very cool that would have made a very nice addition to Children's Week. I'm going to stop going on about the Children's Week thing now. I think I've made my point here. And I do want to make a last point about this video, is that this is quite a lore-heavy video. I'm kind of more doing a guide on the step-to-step basis of experiencing it yourself if you want to. I'm not going full-on into the lore, but I know that Noble has made a very similar guide, sort of like of the same length, that covers more of the lore aspect of the quest chain itself. So if you're more interested in the lore of this sort of thing, and it may be something that you don't really want to do yourself in game, or maybe you've already done it and you don't really understand it, Noble does have a good video on it. So, you know, he is kind of the lore guy, so I'll leave that sort of lore stuff to him. This stuff was more of an enjoyment going around and doing it and recording the video. Like I said, it might not have really been something I would have done if I wasn't making videos on YouTube. I love more of the secret finding, Lucid Nightmare. I love the maze, the Sun Darter hatchling in the cave. I love that so much. Whereas this one's a bit more mild and it's not really for me. But that's all for this video. So I do hope that it helped, or if you were looking to do the Uuna storyline, that this actually provided some insight into that. Or, you know, you can watch my video instead of do it yourself. You never know. But that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe for some more Warcraft guides and videos, and I'll see you in the next one.